Welcome you all to the Wedawidu Arunalu paper project organized by the Medical Students Association of Gampaha district. Today you have all joined with the biology MCQ discussion. So if you have not done the paper yet, please complete the paper and join with the recording. Let's move on to the first question. The incorrect statement regarding the living characteristics and their descriptions given below is: growth is reversible increase in dry mass. So the first statement is false because growth is considered as the irreversible increase in dry mass. Second statement, reproduction producing new offsprings for the continuous existence of the species. Second statement is correct. Third statement, adaptation, peculiarity of structure, physiology or behavior that promotes the likelihood of an organism's survival and reproduction in a particular environment. So the statement 3 is also true. Statement number 4, metabolism, the sum of chemical activities that take place in a living organism. That statement is also true. Fifth statement, heredity, passing genes of organisms from one generation to the next that control specific physiological, morphological and behavioral characters of organisms. So from the first question, the first statement is false, whereas all the other statements directly gives the explanation of the terms given. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 2. Select the correct statement regarding RNA out of the following. First statement, mRNA is the smallest type of RNA. That statement is false because mRNA is considered to be the least abundant type of RNA, not the smallest type of RNA. So the first statement is false. Second statement, rRNA transports amino acids to the site of protein synthesis. That statement is also false because rRNA provides a site where the polypeptide chains are assembled. tRNA involves in transportation of amino acids to the site of protein synthesis. So the second statement is also false. Third statement, RNA is double-stranded. That statement is also false because RNA is a single-stranded molecule, whereas DNA is the double-stranded molecule. So the third statement is false. The fourth statement, rRNA is the least abundant type of RNA in a cell. That statement is also false because, as I said, mRNA is considered as the least abundant type of RNA in a cell. rRNA provides the site where polypeptide chains are assembled. Statement number 5, tRNA is a linear molecule. That statement is true because tRNA is considered as a linear 3-loop structure. So the answer should be answer number 5. Third question, select the correct statement regarding the scanning electron microscope. First statement, the electron beam is conversed through the glass lens. In a scanning electron microscope, electron beam is reflected. It is not passed through or it does not get conversed. So the first statement, it is false. The second statement, it can be used to observe the 3D surface view of living specimens. Electron microscopes can only be used to observe non-living specimens. So the second statement, it is false. The third statement, majority of electrons that hit the specimen are scattered. That statement is true because here the electrons are getting reflected, so majority of electrons, they get scattered. Fourth statement, suitable to observe the internal structures of the cells in 3D view. Now, the scanning electron microscope, it is used to observe the surface view of specimens in 3-dimensional appearances. So the fourth statement is also false. Fifth statement, pattern of electrons that travel through the specimen is projected onto a screen. That occurs in the transmission electron microscope, not in a scanning electron microscope. So the answer should be answer number 3. Question number 4. Select the correct statement regarding cell organelles and subcellular components. First statement, proteins synthesized by 70S ribosomes travel into the lumen of ER. That statement is false because 70S ribosomes, they are found freely in the cytoplasm, whereas 80S ribosomes are of two types as bound ribosomes and free ribosomes. the bound ribosomes are found attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. So the protein synthesized by the bound ribosomes of 80S ribosomes, they involve in transportation of proteins, not the 70S ribosomes. So the second statement, in the basal body, 9 pairs of microtubules are arranged as a ring. That statement is false because here not 9 pairs but 9 triplets of microtubules are arranged in the ring. So the second statement is false, and the third statement, in the extracellular matrix of all animal cells, the most abundant glycoprotein is structural collagen. This statement is also false because the most abundant glycoprotein is structural collagen. That part is true, but in the extracellular matrix of all animal cells is given in the question. But the glycoprotein is found as the most abundant structural collagen in the extracellular matrix of most animal cells, not all animal cells. So the third statement is false. The fourth statement, potassium ions, chloride ions and sugars are included in the cell sap. That statement is true. Fifth statement, secondary cell wall consists only of impermeable substances like lignin and suberin. The main component of secondary cell wall is cellulose. Therefore, in addition to cellulose, lignin and suberin are found. But the statement says only impermeable substances like lignin and suberin are found in the secondary cell wall. So, the fifth statement is false. So, the answer should be answer number 4. Next question. Question number 5. Which of the following given statements are related to the G2 phase of the cell cycle? First statement, proteins are synthesized only during the G2 phase. That statement is false because proteins are synthesized during all 3 phases of the interphase, including G1, G2 and S phases. So the first statement is false. Second statement, duplication of centrosomes occur. That is true, duplication of centrosomes occur in the G2 phase. Third statement, G2 phase is divided into 3 phases as G1, S and G0. This statement is wrong because not the G2 phase but the interphase is divided into 3 phases as G1, G2 and S. So the third statement is also wrong. Fourth statement, DNA wraps around histone proteins to form chromatin. That occurs during the S phase, not during the G2 phase. So the fourth statement is also false. The fifth statement, histone proteins are synthesized during this stage. That statement is also false because histone proteins, they are synthesized in the S phase. So the answer should be answer number 2. Question number 6. Select the accurate statement. Respiratory quotient is the ratio of volume of oxygen consumed and the volume of carbon dioxide evolved by a given substrate within a given period of time. The first statement is false because we calculate the respiratory quotient using the ratio of carbon dioxide evolved to the volume of oxygen consumed. Therefore, the first statement is false. The second statement, the lactic acid fermentation as a method of anaerobic respiration can only be observed in bacteria. That statement is also false because lactic acid fermentation can be observed in humans as well. So the second statement is false. The third statement, in lactic acid fermentation, a molecule of glucose is directly converted into lactic acid. That statement is false because here pyruvate molecule is getting directly reduced into lactic acid, not a glucose molecule. So the third statement is false. The fourth statement, in ethyl alcohol fermentation, acetaldehyde is oxidized to ethanol using NADH. This statement is also false because in ethyl alcohol fermentation, acetaldehyde is reduced, not oxidized to ethanol. So the statement is false. Fifth statement, amino acids resulted by the breaking down of proteins within the cells can be directly used in glycolysis or in the Krebs cycle. So that statement is true. So the answer should be answer number 5. Question number 7. Select the correct statement from the following. Appearance of first eukaryotes archaean eon. The first statement is false because appearance of first eukaryotes occurred in the Proterozoic eon, not the Archean eon. Second statement, sudden increase in diversity of many animal phyla, Paleozoic era. That statement is true. Third statement, origin of mammals, Cenozoic era. That statement is false because origin of mammals took place in the Mesozoic era. Fourth statement, origin of first seed plants, Mesozoic era. That statement is also false. Origin of first seed plants occurred in the Paleozoic era. Fifth statement, origin of primate groups, Mesozoic era. In the resource book, there is no specific era for the origin of primate groups. It is given as the origin of primate groups took place 6 to 7 million years ago. So the fifth statement is also wrong. So the answer should be answer number 2. Question number 8. A few statements regarding the classification of organisms and its history is given below. Aristotle was the first person to classify organisms on a scientific basis. That is true. He classified the organisms as plants and animals. Second statement, Ernest Haeckel introduced the taxon phylum. That statement is also true. Third statement, the number of organisms that belong to a family are greater than the number of organisms that belong to an order. That statement is false because the family is found at a lower level in the hierarchy than the order. So going down the hierarchy, the number of organisms decrease. It does not increase. So this third statement is false. Statement D, Aristotle classified organisms into two kingdoms as plants and animals. Aristotle did classify organisms into plants and animals, but he did not specifically introduce kingdoms. So the answer should be A and B only, answer number 5. Question number 9. Which of the following is incorrect regarding seedless vascular plants? Phloem is a tissue that has cells arranged in tubes. That statement is true. Second statement, some species have two types of spores as megaspores and microspores. That is also true. Third statement, in modern vascular plants, the roots act as an organ that anchors the plant to the soil. That statement is also true. Xylem consists of vessel elements, tracheids, fibers and parenchyma cells. That statement is false because in seedless vascular plants, the xylem consists of only tracheids, fibers and parenchyma cells. It does not contain xylem vessel elements. So the answer is wrong. The answer number 5, megaphils have branched vascular tissues. That statement is true. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 10. Which of the following combinations are accurate? Cytridiomycota produce flagellated sperms. That is true. Zygomycota produce ascocarps with asci. That is wrong. Ascomycota involved in producing ascocarps with asci. So B is false. C. Ascomycota produce genetically identical haploid spores. That statement is also false. Ascomycota produce both genetically identical as well as genetically non-identical spores. So the statement cannot be considered entirely true. Fourth statement, Basidiomycota produce exogenous basidiospores. That is true. Basidiospores are considered as a type of exogenous spores which is produced by phylum Basidiomycota. So the answer should be answer number 1, A and D only. Question number 11. Which one of the additional common features given below are shared by the animals belonging to the phylum in which body wall is composed of longitudinal muscles and covered by a tough cuticle? The phylum stated here is phylum Nematoda. Phylum Nematoda shows internal fertilization. They do not show any distinct sepalization. Generally, females are larger than males. They do not have any developed excretory structures and they are triploblastic and pseudocoelomic. So out of the answers given in the question, the answer number 4 is true regarding the phylum stated in the question, which is phylum Nematoda. They do not have any developed excretory structures. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 12. Select the correct statement out of the statements given below. In a typical woody stem, the vascular cambium is found as a cylinder of differentiated cells. That statement is false because in the vascular cambium of a typical woody stem, it is found as a cylinder of undifferentiated cells. So the statement is false. Second statement, in a typical body root, vascular cambium is found laterally interior to the primary phloem and pericardium. That statement is also false because pericardium it is found in the heart. It is not found in any plant. So in a typical body root, the vascular cambium is found laterally interior to the primary phloem and pericycle, not the pericardium. Answer number 3, cork cambium produce cork cells to the exterior. That statement is true. Answer number 4, lenticels appear as vertical slits in the pericycle. That statement is false because lenticels, they are small pores in the periderm which are used for gaseous exchange and they appear as horizontal slits, not vertical slits. So the statement 4 is false. Statement number 5, in woody plants, primary growth and secondary growth does not occur simultaneously. That statement is also false because both primary and secondary growth occur simultaneously in woody plants. So the answer should be answer number 3. Question number 13. Which of the below answers state the correct sequence of phloem translocation? A. Unloading of sugar. B. Phloem sac moves from the source to sink by bulk flow. Statement C. Loss of water from phloem to xylem, reducing the pressure within the sieve tube. D. Inflow of water from the xylem by osmosis increases the pressure within the sieve tube. E. Loading sugars reduces the water potential within the sieve tube. So the first step of phloem translocation is loading of sugars into sieve tube element. Loading of sugars reduces the water potential within the sieve tube elements, resulting uptake of water from the neighboring xylem by osmosis. Next, the uptake of water generates a positive pressure which causes the sac to move along the tube. Unloading of sugars occur as the last step and it reduces the water potential at the source, which results in consequent loss of water from the xylem to phloem. So accordingly, the correct sequence is depicted in answer number 4, E, D, B, A, C. So the answer is answer number 4. Question number 14. Select the correct statement from the following. Statement number 1. In still air, since the concentration gradient between the leaf and the external atmosphere is less, the rate of transpiration is high. That statement is false because reduction in the concentration gradient reduces the rate of transpiration. Second statement, guttation takes place through hydrothodes and stomata. That statement is also false because guttation does not take place through stomata. It takes place only through the hydrothodes. Third statement, when the humidity increases, the concentration of water vapor in the external atmosphere also increases, reducing the rate of transpiration. Third statement is true because when the concentration of water vapor increases, the humidity in the external atmosphere increases. So the increase in the humidity reduces the rate of transpiration. So the statement number 3 is true. Statement 4, guttation takes place in very small amounts during the daytime and very large amounts in the night time. That is false because guttation does not take place during the daytime. Because during the daytime, the rate of water loss by transpiration cannot match the root pressure. Therefore, guttation does not take place during the daytime. So the statement 4 is false. Statement number 5, guttation takes place under a negative pressure potential. That is false. Root pressure results in a positive pressure potential. So statement number 5 is considered as false. So the answer should be answer number 3. Question number 15. Which of the following answers state haploid, diploid and triploid structures respectively? First, mucus pores. Mucus pores is haploid. Salacinella sporangium, it is diploid. Cycus endosperm is haploid. So the first statement is false. Second statement, Agaricus basidiospore, it is a haploid structure. Pogonatum rhizoids, it is also a haploid structure. And Pinus root is considered as a diploid structure. So statement 2 is also false. Statement 3, Pogonatum sporophyte. Pogonatum sporophyte is a diploid structure. Pogonatum sperm is a haploid structure Agaricus dikaryotic hyphae is a dikaryotic structure. So the answer 3 is also false. Answer number 4, Cycas endosperm. Cycas endosperm is a triploid structure. Seliginella strobilus is a it is a diploid structure, and Coccus endosperm is a triploid structure. So statement number 3 is true. Statement number 4 is true. Cycas endosperm, it is a haploid structure. Seliginella strobilus is a diploid structure. Coccus endosperm, it is a triploid structure. So the answer should be answer number 4. Fifth statement is also false because Seliginella male gametophyte, it is a haploid structure. Nephrolepis archegonium, it is a haploid structure. Cycas megasporophyll is a diploid structure. So the statement is false. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 16. Select the correct statement regarding hormones and plant stress. The cell membrane can be maintained more fluid at low temperatures by decreasing the proportion of unsaturated fatty acids during cold stress. That statement is false because during the cold stress, plants increase the proportion of unsaturated fatty acids, which helps to keep the membrane more fluid even at low temperatures. So the statement says that plants decrease the proportion of unsaturated fatty acids. So the statement number 1 is false. Second statement, blue light photoreceptors involved in light-induced slowing down of hypofertile elongation when a seedling breaks the ground. Statement 2 is true. Statement number 3, in a plant shoot, the cells in the brighter side elongate faster than the cells in the darker side. That is false. Generally, cells in the darker side elongate faster than the cells in the lighter side. So statement number 3 is false. Statement number 4, in salt stress, the water potential of the soil solution is less negative than the water potential within the root hair cells. That statement is also false because during salt stress, the water potential of the root hair cells decreases than the soil solution, which results in reduction of the water uptake by roots. So statement number 4 is false. Statement number 5, blue light photoreceptors aid in seed germination. That is false because seed germination, it is stimulated by red light photoreceptors or phytochromes. So the statement number 5 is also false. So the answer should be answer number 2. Question number 17. Which of the following is a correct statement regarding gravitophism? Statolites are found in the root cortical cells. That statement is false. Statolites, they are found in certain cells of root cap, not in the root cortical cells. Statement number 2. At high concentration of auxin, cell elongation of roots is accelerated. That statement is false because high concentrations of auxin inhibits the cell elongation. Statement number 3, gravitophism affects lateral growth of the root. That is also false because gravitophism affects the directional growth of the root towards gravity, not the lateral growth. Statement number 4, aggregation of statolites at higher points of the root cap cells triggers the redistribution of calcium 2+ ions. That statement is false. Aggregation of statolites at the lower parts of the root cap cell triggers the redistribution of calcium ions, not the higher points of root cap cells. So the answer is false. Statement number 5, statolites involved in lateral transportation of auxins within the root. That statement is true. So the answer should be answer number 5. Question number 18. Select the incorrect statement out of the following. Osteoblasts are found within lacunae. That is false because osteocytes are considered as mature bone cells and osteoblasts, they are considered as bone forming cells. So osteocytes are the ones which are enclosed within lacunae, not osteoblasts. Statement number 1 is incorrect. So the answer should be answer number 1. Second statement, bone matrix consists of collagen fibers and inorganic salts. That statement is true. Answer 3, collagen fibers and chondrocytes are embedded in the matrix of cartilages. That statement is also true. Fourth statement, smooth muscle tissue is found in the lining of the urinary tract and arteries. That statement is also true. Sarcomere is a contractile unit of the skeletal muscle cell. That statement is also true. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 19. Which of the following vitamins are synthesized by the microorganisms in the large intestine? Generally, microorganisms in the large intestine synthesize some vitamin B complexes, vitamin K and folic acid. So the answer should be answer number 3. Question number 20. Which of the following conditions could arise due to having a higher blood pressure above the normal level for a long period of time? Brief unconsciousness that is caused due to low blood pressure. Adrenal gland disorders, they are caused due to having a higher blood pressure for a longer period of time. Generally, long-term hypertension results in kidney damage, adrenal gland disorders, heart attacks, strokes, and damage to blood vessels, which can even lead to death. So the answer should be answer number 2. Question number 21. Among the sentences given below, which one is false about blood plasma? The protein concentration in blood plasma is higher than in interstitial fluid. Answer is true. The protein concentration in blood plasma is generally higher than the interstitial fluid. Statement number 2. The ions dissolved in blood plasma act as buffers to regulate pH. That statement is also true. The dissolved ions in plasma buffer and helps regulate the pH, and also it helps to maintain the blood osmotic balance. Albumin in the plasma also helps to buffer blood. So the answer is true. Statement number 3, the pH of human blood is approximately 7.6. That is false because the pH of human blood is around 7.4, not 7.6. So the statement number 3 should be the answer, as it is the false statement. Statement number 4, fibrinogen in blood helps blood clotting. That is true. When clotting factors are removed from plasma, it is referred to as serum. That statement is also true. So the answer should be answer number 3. Question number 22. Correct regarding the lymphatic system is: lymph nodes are composed of muscle tissue and white blood cells. That statement is false because lymph nodes, they are composed of connective tissues and white blood cells, not muscle tissues. So the first statement is false. The second statement, composition of lymph is similar to the composition of blood. That statement is also false because the composition of lymph is similar to the composition of interstitial fluid, not blood. So the statement number 2 is false. The third statement, there are no valves in lymphatic vessels. That statement is also false because there are valves in lymphatic vessels which helps to prevent backflow of lymph. So that statement is false. Statement number 4, vitamin E is absorbed in the small intestine. That is true. Vitamins are absorbed in the small intestine. Statement number 5, lymph fluid moves only through rhythmic contractions that occur in the lymphatic vessel wall. That statement is false. The rhythmic contractions of the lymph vessel wall as well as the skeletal muscle contractions helps to move the lymph. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 23. Among the following answers, which is the correct combination regarding the types of human immunity? Passive immunity through exposure, long-term immunity is developed through vaccination. That statement is false because passive immunity occurs through the transfer of antibodies, not through the exposure. Answer number 2, secondary immune responses and immunological memory response is generated. So that statement is true. Third statement, immune response through fluid media, innate immunity. That statement is false. Immune response through fluid media are included in humoral immune responses, which is categorized under the acquired immunity, not innate immunity. Answer number 4, acquired immune responses produce specific inflammatory responses. Production of inflammatory responses, it comes under the internal defense mechanisms of the innate immunity, not under acquired immune responses. So the statement 4 is also false. Statement number 5, artificially acquired active immune responses human immunoglobulin vaccine. Statement number 5 is also false because human immunoglobulin vaccines, they falls under the artificially acquired passive immunity, not under artificially acquired active immunity. So the answer should be answer number 2. Question number 24. The events initiated by the increasing carbon dioxide concentration in blood are presented in sequence. Generally, increasing carbon dioxide concentration increases the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in blood. This results in stimulation of receptors in the aorta and carotid arteries. Then these nerve impulses, they are transmitted to the respiratory control center in the medulla oblongata. The lowering of pH is also detected by the medulla oblongata. So this results in increase in the respiratory rate and depth as a response. So the answer, the correct sequence is denoted in answer number 2. Answer should be answer number 2. So question number 25. Correct statement regarding nephron is: a kidney has more than 2 million nephrons. That is false. A kidney has over a million nephrons, not over 2 million nephrons. So the statement number 1 is false. Second statement, a nephron is composed of a single short tube. That is also false. A nephron is composed of a single long tube. Answer number 3. The outer layer of the Bowman's capsule consists of several layers of epithelial cells which are specialized for filtering. That statement is false. The inner layer of the Bowman's capsule is specialized for filtering. The outer layer of Bowman's capsule is composed of simple squamous epithelium. So the statement number 3 is false. Statement number 4. The peritubular capillary network is located near the medulla surrounding the loop of Henle. That statement is also false. The peritubular capillaries are found surrounding the proximal and distal convoluted tubules, whereas vasorecta is found surrounding the loop of Henle. So the statement number 3 is statement number 4 is also false. This statement: the lining of the ascending limb of loop of Henle is impermeable to water. That statement is true. As we know, the lining of the descending limb of loop of Henle, it is permeable and it is specialized for water reabsorption, whereas the lining of the ascending limb of loop of Henle, it is impermeable to water. So the answer should be answer number 5. Question number 26. The correct order of the brain structures that contribute the following functions: coordinates auditory and visual reflexes, regulates sleep and wake cycles, controls involuntary reflexes, helps in learning and remembering motor skills. Coordination of auditory and visual reflexes, that is done by the midbrain. Regulation of sleep and wake cycles, appetite, thirst, water balance, body temperature, that is done by the hypothalamus. Involuntary reflexes such as vomiting, swallowing, coughing, sneezing, these are controlled by medulla oblongata, and the cerebellum, it helps in learning and remembering motor skills. So the answer should be answer number 3, midbrain, hypothalamus, medulla oblongata and the cerebellum. Question number 27. The correct order of the disorders of the nervous system displaying the following characteristics: fixed muscle tone causing lack of facial expressions, losing ability to recognize people including the immediate family members, experiencing voices that only they can hear. Fixed muscle tone causing lack of facial expression, that is a symptom of Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a progressive motor disorder that leads to the lack of control and coordination of muscle movement. So the lack of facial expressions due to fixed muscle tone is observed during Parkinson's. Then losing ability to recognize people including immediate family members, that is a symptom of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease, it is a severe mental deterioration which is characterized by confusion and memory loss. Therefore, a patient with Alzheimer's will gradually lose their ability to recognize people including the immediate family members. Then experiencing voices that only they can hear, that is a symptom of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a severe mental disturbance which is characterized by psychotic episodes in which people have a distorted perception of their reality. These psychotic episodes, they include voices that only they can hear, and their distorted perception of reality leads them to believe that others are always plotting to harm them. So the answer should be answer number 1, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's and schizophrenia. Question number 28. In the human eye, the white opaque region located in the outer fibrous layer reflects light rays. The white opaque region found in the human eye is the sclera. Sclera is not involved in reflecting light rays. Therefore, the first statement is false. The second statement, the lens is directly connected to the ciliary muscles. That statement is also false because the lens is connected to the ciliary muscles via the suspensory ligaments. So the statement number 2 is false. Statement number 3, in the visual spectrum, rod cells that show varying sensitivity to colors respond most effectively to red, green and blue light. That statement is false because rod cells, they do not distinguish colors. They provide only black and white vision, whereas cones, they provide color vision. So the statement number 3 is false. Statement number 4, all the nerve fibers originating from the retina converge approximately 0.5 centimeters towards the nose from the yellow spot to form the optic nerve. That statement is true. Fifth statement, in the central foveal region of the retina, there are 10 times more cone cells than rod cells. That statement is false. The fovea centralis, that contains only cones. No rods are present in that region. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 29. Correct statement regarding the human skin. Sodium chloride, uric acid and aromatic substances can be excreted with sweat. That statement is false because here urea is excreted with sweat, not uric acid. So the statement number 1 is false. Second statement, skin consists of receptors sensitive to touch, pressure, temperature and light. That statement is also false because there are no any light sensitive receptors found in the skin. There are receptors sensitive to touch, pressure and temperature but not light. So the answer number 2 is false. Answer number 3, during cutaneous sensitivity, stimuli received by the skin's receptors generate nerve impulses initiating sensory perception in the cerebellum. This statement is also false because the sensory perception, it occurs in the cerebrum, not in the cerebellum. So the statement number 3 is false. Statement number 4, collagen fibers located in the skin bind with water and provide tensile strength to the skin. That statement is true. So the answer should be answer number 4. Fifth statement, the relative amounts of keratin and melanic pigments in the skin are responsible for the color of the skin. That is also false because the skin color is determined by the amount of melanin in the skin. Keratin is not involved in determining the skin color. So the answer number 5 is also false. So the correct statement should be answer number 4. Question number 30. Among the statements given regarding the maintenance of internal environment of human body within a constant range, the correct one is: the hypothalamus detects only the lower core body temperatures through temperature sensitive nerve endings. That statement is false because the hypothalamus, it functions as the body's thermostat. It can detect both higher temperatures as well as lower body temperatures. So this statement says that it can detect only lower core body temperatures. So the statement is false. The second statement, most homeostatic control systems depend on negative feedback mechanisms. That is true. The statement number 3, the liver's contribution to regulating blood glucose level is sufficient. That statement is false because the liver is not the only organ which is involved in regulating the blood glucose level. The pancreas also plays a crucial role in maintaining the blood glucose level. It secretes hormones such as insulin and glucagon, which regulates the blood glucose level. So the statement number 3 is also false. Fourth statement, in maintaining osmotic balance, only the regulation of water volume and the amount of solutes absorbed into the body is important. That is false because in maintaining osmotic balance, the excretion of certain solutes by the kidney is also of crucial importance. So the fourth statement is false. Fifth statement, glucagon acts on specific target tissues and inhibit the release of glucose. That statement is false because glucagon, it promotes the release of glucose. It promotes the breaking down of glycogen and release of glucose into the target tissues. Therefore, statement 5 is also false. So the answer should be answer number 2. Question number 31. The following are some statements regarding the knee joint. A. It is formed by the articulation of proximal end of the femur and the patella. B. It is located at the point where the fibula meets the femur. C. The knee joint can remain in a fixed position for a long time due to locking. Statement A. It is false because the distal end of the femur articulates with the patella, not the proximal end. In order to form the knee joint, the distal end of the femur articulates with the patella. So statement number A is false. Statement B, it is located at the point where fibula meets the femur. That is false. The fibula is not directly involved in forming the knee joint. So statement B is also false. Statement C is correct. The knee joint can remain in a fixed position for a long time due to locking. That is true. So the answer should be answer number 4, C only. Question number 32. During a cross between pure breeding short, black-haired and pure breeding long white-haired guinea pigs, all the offsprings in the F1 generation had short black hair. Later, when a cross was carried out between the F1 individuals, 32 offsprings were obtained in the F2 generation. According to Mendel's experiments, the number of short black-haired guinea pigs in the F2 generation would be. So this is a classic Mendelian genetics problem, and this involves two traits as the hair length and the hair color. The parental generation consists of pure breeding short black-haired individuals and pure breeding long white-haired individuals. So the question says that the F1 generation individuals, all the F1 generation individuals had short black hair. So the F1 generation should be heterozygous and they should express the dominant phenotypes which are short black hair. And the cross between F1 generation individuals resulted in 32 offsprings. So the F2 generation, generally in Mendelian genetics, the F2 generation should consist of 16 individuals, 16 offsprings with a ratio of 9:3:3:1. So 9 out of 16 should have short black-haired individuals, 3 out of 16 are short white-haired, 3 out of 16 are long black-haired, 1 out of 16 are long white-haired. So here we have to calculate the probability for 32 offsprings. So we have to multiply the probability by 32. So we can obtain that the number of short black-haired guinea pigs in the F2 generation should be 18. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 33 provide the correct response matching the hereditary disorders caused by the mutations and their symptoms. Down syndrome, it has a symptom which is Q, short body. Turner syndrome, extra skin on the neck, and Klinefelter syndrome has the condition of 2n+1 chromosomes. So the answer should be answer number 4, A, Q, B, P, C, R. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 34. The main objective of the Cartagena Protocol is avoiding the impacts of GMOs on human health, protecting the biodiversity from the potential risks posed by GMOs and LMOs, establishing necessary legal regulations for the transboundary movement of LMOs, exchanging scientific, technical, environmental and legal information among the parties implementing the protocol, sustainable use of biological resources and fair sharing of benefits among stakeholders. So the Cartagena Protocol, it was adopted as a part of the Convention on Biological Diversity. It is an international agreement that aims to ensure the safe handling, transport and use of modified living organisms. It resulting from modern biotechnology. So it is the primary objective of this Cartagena protocol is to protect the biological diversity from the potential risks posed by the LMOs. This includes addressing of the transboundary movements of LMOs. The answer should be answer number 2, protecting biodiversity from the potential risks posed by GMOs and LMOs. Question number 35. Regarding the ecosystem in Sri Lanka and their environmental characteristics, the incorrect combination among the following is: tropical montane forests contain plants with twisted branches having a leathery small leaves. So this statement number 1, it is true. Dry monsoon forests average annual rainfall is greater than 1000 to 1500 millimeters. That is also true. Savannas, grass is not more than 1 meter tall. That is false because savannas, they have a thick tall grass cover with few scattered trees. So it is incorrect to conclude that grass in savannas does not grow beyond 1 meter height. So the answer should be answer number 3. It is the false statement. Statement number 4. Tropical thorn scrubs spread across the dry lowlands of the island. That is true. Billows dominated by coarse grass species. That is also true. So the answer should be answer number 3. Question number 36. What are the 2 other main activities that cause the release of carbon dioxide? Here the answer should be answer number 1 because solid waste and forest burning, they really results in releasing of carbon dioxide. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 37. Which of the following statements regarding microorganisms is correct? Spirochetes are helical shaped and possess a hard corkscrew-like body. That statement is false because spirochetes, they have a flexible body, not a hard corkscrew-like body. So the statement number 1 is false. Statement number 2. All cyanobacteria have the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen. That statement is false. Not all cyanobacteria, but most cyanobacteria has the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen. Statement number 3. Unicellular fungi reproduce both sexually and asexually through spores. That is false. Generally, unicellular fungi involve in asexual reproduction by fission or budding. So the statement 3 is false. Statement 4. Molecules are prokaryotes belonging to the domain bacteria. That statement is true. Statement number 5. Bacillus divides only along its longitudinal axis. That statement is false because Bacillus divides along its short axis, not along its longitudinal axis. So the statement 5 is also false. So the answer should be answer number 4. Question number 38. The disease caused to humans by microorganisms, the system affected by the disease, and the microorganism that causes the diseases are correctly matched as follows. First statement, rheumatic fever, urinary system, Staphylococcus aureus. That statement is false because rheumatic fever is caused by Streptococcus pyogenes. It is a cardiovascular disease, not a disease which is associated with the urinary system. So statement number 1 is false. Statement number 2, tetanus, nervous system, Streptococcus pyogenes. Tetanus is caused by Clostridium tetani, not Streptococcus pyogenes. So the statement 2 is also false. Statement 3, bacterial meningitis, nervous system, Haemophilus influenzae. That statement is true. So the answer should be answer number 3. Statement number 4, rubella, respiratory system, herpes virus, varicella zoster. Rubella, it is caused by the rubella virus. And also it is a skin disease, not a disease which is associated with the respiratory system. Answer 4 is also false. Answer number 5, influenza, cardiovascular system, influenza virus. It is also false because influenza, it is a respiratory disease, not a cardiovascular disease. So answer should be answer number 3. Question number 39. Select the false statement regarding the use of microorganisms as indicators of water quality. Salmonella, Vibrio and Shigella are primary examples of pathogenic microorganisms. That is true. Second statement, coliform bacteria are used as indicator organisms. That statement is false. That statement is true. Coliform bacteria are used as indicator organisms. Statement number 3, coliform bacteria produce gases within 48 hours when fermented on lactose solid culture media. That statement is false because here coliform bacteria produce gases within 48 hours in a lactose broth medium, not in a solid culture medium. So the statement number 3 is false. Statement number 4, even if coliform bacteria are present in water, it may be still possible to drink the water without getting sick. That statement is true. Statement number 5, coliform bacteria can also be found in plants and soil. So that statement is also true. So the answer should be answer number 3. Coliform bacteria produce gases within 48 hours when fermented on a lactose solid culture media. Question number 40. Select the correct statement regarding stem cells. The use of adult stem cells in tissue repair is practically limited. That statement is true. Since adult stem cells, they are not pluripotent, the use of them is practically limited. Statement number 2. Generally, stem cells are divided very rapidly. That statement is false. This depends on the type of the stem cells. Some cell types, they are very rapidly dividing, whereas some are very slowly dividing. So the answer number 2 is also false. Answer number 3. Embryonic stem cells can eventually differentiate into more than 2000 types of cells found in the human body. That statement is false because embryonic stem cells, they can differentiate into more than 200 types, not 2000 types. Statement number 4, pluripotent stem cells cannot multiply infinitely. That statement is false because they can multiply infinitely. Statement number 5, there are 3 main types of stem cells. That statement is also false because there are only 2 main types of stem cells as adult stem cells and embryonic stem cells. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 41. The enzymes and its location are correctly matched in Rubisco in leaf mesophyll cells of C4 plants. That is false because in C4 plants, Rubisco is found within the bundle sheath cells. PEP is found within the mesophyll cells. So the first statement, it is false. NAD plus reductase near the photosystem 1 in chloroplast. That is true. Rubisco in leaf mesophyll cells of C3 plants. That is also true because in C3 plants only one type of carbon dioxide acceptor is found. So Rubisco is found in the mesophyll cells of C3 plants. Statement D, PEP carboxylase in leaf mesophyll cells of C4 plants. That is also true. Rubisco in bundle sheath cells of C4 plants. That statement is also true. So the answer should be answer number 5, B, C, D and E. Question number 42. Select the answer or answers that correctly match each element and its deficiency symptom. Copper drying of leaf tips. That statement is true. Nickel chlorosis between the veins of young leaves. That statement is false because nickel results in chlorosis in mature leaves, not in young leaves. True. Zinc reduced internode length. That statement is also true. Phosphorus, yellow or brown leaf margins. That statement is false. Usually, yellow or brown leaf margins, they are resulted due to potassium deficiency, not due to phosphorus deficiency. Due to phosphorus deficiency, plants show very slow development while maintaining a healthy appearance. Purpling of veins, poor flowering and fruiting, they can be observed due to phosphorus deficiency. So the statement, the correct answer should be answer 2, A, C and D. Question number 43. Select the true statements from the following. A single circulatory system of vertebrates always has a heart with 2 chambers. That statement is true. In the single closed circulation can be observed in fish, and the fish has only 2-chambered heart. So the statement number 1, it is true. The fish heart pumps oxygenated blood. That is false because the fish heart, it pumps deoxygenated blood. The fish heart pumps only deoxygenated blood because fish have a single circulation. The heart pumps deoxygenated blood which then travels through the gill capillaries where it gets oxygenated and then travels through the rest of the body. So statement B is false. Statement C, some invertebrates possess closed blood circulatory system. That is correct. Example of phylum of invertebrates with closed blood circulatory system is phylum Annelida. So that statement is true. Then D, all endothermic animal cells have a complete double circulation. That is also correct because the only endothermic classes of animals are aves and mammalia. Both these classes, they have four-chambered hearts and a complete double circulation. Then E, there are no blood vessels in an open circulatory system. That is false because there are blood vessels in open circulatory systems. They lack capillaries, but blood vessels are present. So E is false. So the answer should be answer number 2, A, C and D. Question number 44. Select the incorrect statement regarding the human birth control methods. A. Oral contraceptives contain high concentration of synthetic estrogen and progesterone. B. Condoms prevent sperm entry. C. Synthetic progesterone contained in the oral contraceptives thickens cervical mucus and stops ovulation. D. IUD loop prevents fertilization and implantation. Vasectomy surgery prevents the release of sperms. So statements A, B, D and E are correct. C is incorrect because synthetic progesterone, C is incorrect because oral contraceptives, they do not stop ovulation but they prevent the sperm entry into the uterus. They do not stop ovulation. So the answer should be answer number 5, C. Question number 45. The main characteristics by which typical cervical vertebrae can be identified. A. Transverse processes of the vertebrae having a foramen on each side. That statement is true. B. Comparatively having a smaller vertebral body. That is also true. C. Vertebral body being degenerated. That is false because that is a characteristic of the atlas vertebrae. D. Spinous process is biped. That is also a characteristic of atlas vertebrae. So C and D are false. E. Having a facet for articulation with the odontoid process. That statement is true. So the correct statements are A, B and D. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 46. The true statement or statements regarding Mendel's experiments. During monohybrid cross, the phenotypic ratio appeared to be approximately 1:3 ratio for both white and purple flower plants respectively in F2 generation. That is true. B. Mendel brought forth the law of dependent assortment through his dihybrid cross. That is false because Mendel brought forth the law of independent assortment, not dependent assortment. So statement B is false. Statement C. 9 different genotypes were produced in F2 generation during the dihybrid cross. That is true. Statement D. If allelic combination followed dependent assortment, the phenotypic ratio of the F2 generation of the dihybrid cross will be similar to that of monohybrid cross. That is also true. E. Currently, Mendel's second law is valid for adjacent genes located on the same chromosome. That is false because Mendel's second law is only applicable to genes located on different chromosomes or genes located which are far apart in the same chromosome. This is because if genes are located close together, gene linkage may occur. So it results in deviations from the Mendel's laws. So the correct statements are A, C and D. Answer should be answer number 2. Question number 47. The correct statements about operons are: an operon codes for several peptides. That is true. Statement B. An operon is comprised of a control region, a promoter and structural genes. That is also true. C. An operon can be transcribed into several mRNA molecules. That is false An operon is a group of genes that function as a single transcription unit. Therefore, only a single mRNA molecule is produced at the end of transcription, not several mRNA molecules are produced. Therefore, statement C is false. Statement D, they are arranged in chromosomes one after the other as gene clusters. That is also true. Statement E, operons are non-functional DNA segments that are present in between the genes. That statement is also false because operons are functional gene clusters, not non-functional DNA segments. So the statement E is also false. So the correct statements are A, B and D. So the answer should be answer number 1. Question number 48. Which of the following statements are true? Natural extinction is a part of the evolutionary process. That statement is true. B. The rate of evolution has been generally lower than that of extinction. That is false because the rate of evolution is generally higher than the rate of extinction. Statement C. Extinction make room for new species. That is true. D. It is estimated that about 5 to 10% of the species may face extinction within the next 30 years. That is also true. E. Extinction is the elimination of the last member of a population from Earth. That statement is wrong since extinction is defined as the elimination of the last member of a species, not a population. So the answer is answer number 2. Correct statements are A, C and D. Question number 49. Select the choice or choices with correct answers from the following statements. A. Generally, the microorganisms that a newborn first gets into contact within the mother's vagina are Escherichia coli. That statement is false since the microorganisms that a newborn first gets into contact within the mother's vagina are usually lactobacilli. So the statement A is false. Statement B, Pseudomonas and Propionibacterium are used for the production of vitamin C. That is also false since Acetobacter are used to produce vitamin C. Pseudomonas and Propionibacterium are used in the production of vitamin B12. Statement C, vaccines given to prevent the diseases such as influenza and polio belong to the category of inactivated vaccines. That statement is true. Statement D, phosphorus is the most limiting nutrient among all plant nutrients. That statement is also true. E, in biogas production, methane is produced by the activity of acetogenic bacteria on the organic waste. E is wrong since the activity of acetogenic bacteria on organic waste, it produces carbon dioxide and hydrogen, while the activity of methanogenic bacteria produce methane. So statement E is false. So the answer should be answer number 4, C and D. Question number 50. The correct statement or statements regarding the applications of nanotechnology are: titanium dioxide and silver nanofilters prevent the entrance of tiny particles such as viruses. That statement is false. The smallest man-made nanoparticle is about 5 millimeters. That is also false. The smallest man-made particle is about 5 nanometers, not 5 millimeters. Statement C, nano-device sensors are used to monitor blood pressure, blood oxygen levels and hormone concentrations. That is true. D, smart drugs destroy the cancer cells rapidly and effectively in a silent manner. That statement is also true. Nanocarrier systems can be easily transferred into neural pathways. That statement is false. So the answer should be answer number 4, C and D. So that's all. Thank you for joining with this presentation and I wish you all the best for the upcoming A-levels.